Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you in this video on why material is overrated in chess, especially when you're attacking the enemy's king. And then ultimately, in this situation, especially when you're behind, what matters is whether you can get the checkmate or get a significant material advantage when you're attacking, or you simply lose in the attempt. Enjoy. All right, so we have the first game here that I played. So basically, it started with the typical Dutch defense. Again, I would say this is my favorite opening because of how double-edged this opening is. So this is just a standard C6 Dutch Leningrad variation. This is a very interesting move. Almost never seen it before, but here we go. He moved the readout the knight to d3. Again, I just take the. This is typical. This is the ideal position that you want in this in this opening. These two f pawn and the e pawn here, and he moved the e4. Now, I can't really take because it will open up the e file for his rook, and I'll be in trouble real quick. So I only have one option, that's to move the f4 pawn. Again, he takes, and I just notice how I just ignore the material. I am down 1 point, but I knew at this point that I'm screwed when it comes to material anyway. And if I don't get a successful attack on his king, I'm basically losing his game. So bishop e5. Move back again. So he's going to take. He could take with the knight as well, but he chose to take with the pawn, and I'm down by 2 pawns. But who cares, right? I moved knight to h5. I want to have this open file here. Look at his pawns. Look at he's up by 2 pawns, but look at this pawn structure. He has a very horrible pawn structure and lots of holes here. He has a lot of my knight can come here. My queen can check here at some point after moving here. And my knight can come here too. And here you go again. And here you always want to try to line up the rook against the queen to basically threaten the queen. In this case, his knight can't move. So his queen move away. Notice I'm down by 2 pawns right now, but the engine is showing that I'm actually have slight advantage. So he moves a4. I'm not sure why he moves knight c5. I just want to exchange this. This piece is a critical defender. If the once this is gone, I can start moving my knight to here, and probably double up the rooks. And here it looks really bad for black. I'm down by 2 points, 2 pawns, but the and I'm getting pinned here. But apparently the engine says I'm at minus 3.48 right now. So let's see how the rest of the game goes. So apparently there's a mistake. There's a better move here. Yeah, there's a tactic where I can take the knight here and he'll take and I take and he takes here. Anyways, next we have the rook move here, queen move here. Again, this is a bad move. Apparently I equalize. He could just take here. But my rationale was I want to support my knight moving here. Eventually, once this knight is traded off. So he takes the bishop and I take with the pawn. Look at how bad my position looks like. But still, I'm only down by 0.5. So he takes the knight here, which was a mistake. This is what I love about these positions. Basically, one small mistake can basically cost you the game, you know? There's no room for error in this kind of game. So why is this a mistake? Because he's up by 3 points. Look at this. But if you look at the engine, he's at -4 right now. The answer is I could go for this. He can take because this is a pin. His bishop is pinned basically. And soon my knight can move here and basically get back the material. So he's forced to move, and there we go. Knight to f4. Now I gain back my material, and I have a devastating attack here. Look at this. I have the open file here. My bishop could come here to reinforce. Look at how many pieces do I have? One, two, three, four, five. And I'm basically getting back my piece. And he's forced to take, and knight takes. Knight takes, knight takes here, and he takes, and he resigned. Basically, what happens is he could take the rook, but I take with the check, and I gain back the knight, and I'm up on material. So from what you can see in this game, this is like what I've been telling you. Like material doesn't really matter in chess when you are attacking the king. It's simply a question of whether you can get a checkmate or whether you can get a bigger material advantage from the attack because your opponent is forced to sacrifice something that's even more valuable, which in this case is a queen. And the second game that I have, basically it starts with a bishop opening, which has become one of my favorite openings to play as white, just because of the attacking potential that it has. Yeah, I made a slight mistake here in c3 and bishop e3. The idea is to move back here to reinforce the pawn. As you can see, I'm in quite a pretty bad shape in the opening, but I don't really care because I knew he was gonna castle queenside. It was pretty obvious. So again, like I always said, you want to have the rook in the same file as your opponent's queen, if possible, when possible. Now, again, it does look pretty bad from my position here. But I know he was going to pawn storm, and what do? I just ignore the his attack and basically try to generate counterplay on my own. So here he can't take because I could take with the he can't take here because I could take with this. No, sorry. I could basically move here and I would gain back the knight. So he moved back, and here I was like, I definitely made a mistake here, but I couldn't care. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna have fun. You know, that's the whole point of playing chess. So I sack my rook here, which the engine doesn't like. This was basically a mistake. But I take back the pawn. Here again, I'm still losing. You know, when you're losing, when you're behind, you only have one choice. Okay, you don't bother, don't even bother defending. Just try and find a tactical counterplay and try and go for the checkmate. Just go for the checkmate, or you want to go out on your shield in this kind of situation. Now he make a mistake here. It looks like a pretty normal move, but why is it a mistake? Because I can double the pawn, and there's no way for his queen to reach here because the pawn is defending, and basically he takes more materials. Again, this guy is up by 3 points. But look at the engine. It says that I'm up by 4.4, which again shows you that material doesn't really matter in chess if you have a strong attack. So here, my queen. So why I move here is to basically threaten a checkmate. This is the whole idea of the torn pawn in the a6. So, but he could block, and I get a check here, and it's a forced move, and bishop to e3, chase the knight. Now, if you guys can see why this is a mistake, yep, I have the knight d5. Boom! There you go, it's a fork. He can't take because there's a checkmate, so he's forced to go here and he resigned. But there you go, two games that shows basically that ultimately material doesn't matter if you are attacking your opponent's king. In fact, you should basically just sack as many materials as you want if it gets you towards your ultimate destiny goal, which is to basically get a checkmate, or somehow your opponent is forced to give up an even more valuable material. So there you go. I hope this exciting games entertain and showed you. And please subscribe and like if you like my content. Thank you.